Hello again, and how are we all? Okay, so I wanted to do a quick video about my impressions of the newest Kamen Rider series, now that Kamen finished about 2 weeks ago. Since then, the first episode has come out, and I just want to, like I said, give my thoughts and opinions, where I hope the series will go, and basically just talk about the information we've already got. Kamen Rider Drive is the 16th series in the Heisei lineup, and the 25th overall. The episode starts from a dark area, going half a year before the series even begins, and it puts everything into motion. It establishes our main character and his personal demons, which I'll get to a bit later on, and it also helps to establish the Roid Mudes, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, who are the Kaijin, or monsters, in this series. One thing that's interesting is when these Roid Mudes start attacking half a year before, they create an interesting effect. When they are around, they create some kind of time distortion, which later gets dubbed as the global freeze or the heaviness. Also during the prologue, we are introduced to Shinosuke Tomari, who is our main character. As shown in the prologue, Shinosuke and his partner Hayase were apprehending some criminals, when Hayase was cornered in between a flammable generator and one of the criminals. In a moment of panic, Shinosuke pulled out his gun and tried to aim at the criminal, but because of the slowdown effect, he accidentally shoots the generator, causing it to explode, and also causing some pipes to collapse. As he tries to save his partner from the pipes, the slowdown happens again, and he looks on in horror as his partner is crushed and killed. Because of this incident, Shinosuke loses any and all passion for the job, and since those 6 months have passed, he's developed a tendency to slack off. Throughout the episode, we do see Shinosuke get involved in a case where a Roid Mude has been attacking various people throughout the city. Inevitably, of course, this leads to him taking on the mantle of the new rider, Drive. So there is my brief explanation of the first episode. Now, thoughts. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode to kick off a new series. It established our main character, the Kaijin this time around, the transformation sequence, the secondary characters, and any kind of external threat outside of the Roid Mudes. I think I've nailed the pronunciation now. Okay, what's interesting is that there are a few things that have appeared in older Kamen Rider series, and they've been reused for this. Starting, of course, with the rider himself, Drive. If you look at it a certain way, there are some cues and references, design-wise, to a rider from a previous series, Kamen Rider Axel from Kamen Rider W, who was based on a bike, whereas this time around he's based solely on a car, which was the first big thing that I kind of had a little bit of difficulty understanding at first, because one of the staples of the series is that the Kamen Rider always had a bike for his main vehicle. Of course, a couple of series have moved away from that and used something else, like in Gaim they had all the lock vehicles instead of just having the bikes. This time around it looks like there are no bikes, it's just a car, it's an interesting way to kind of take on a new age in the franchise. Anyway, as I said, about stuff that coming back from older Kamen Riders. During the episode we see a couple of Roid Mudes get defeated by Drive, and they appear as numbers. Now, they can be revived by dark versions of the shift cars, which are part of the transformation devices for Drive, and they can evolve and become even stronger. In a way, a bit similar to the medals and the medals in Kamen Rider O's, where they can be revived, new body, and they have potential to become even stronger. The whole numbers being able to revive gimmick To me, it's like a rehash from an idea that was shown in Kamen Rider Kiva, where a similar thing happened, except they were like stained glass orbs or something. Now, they could either be absorbed by Castle Dran as energy, or they could be revived by a stronger Fangaya. Another thing that was interesting is I was a bit surprised when they included this. In Kamen Rider W, there is a gag where the female lead, Akiko, would usually hit one of the two male characters with a slipper. And it seems this gag has come back again in Kamen Rider Drive, through the secondary character of Kiriko. Another interesting aspect that is coming back in the new Kamen Rider is the number gimmick. Now, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about at this point, this was basically introduced during 2009's Kamen Rider decade, and it would often refer to the number of devices needed to help the rider transform. For example, first in Kamen Rider decade with 1 card. Then in the series following decade, Kamen Rider W, there were 2 Gaia memories. Then after W, we got Kamen Rider O's, and the 3 core medals. Then, following O's, we go into Kamen Rider Forze, with the use of the 4 Astro Switches. Now, the number gimmick referring to the amount of devices needed for the rider to transform ended with Forze. However, Wizard started a different dynamic for the number gimmick. If you look closely at the Wizard driver, instead of referring to the amount of devices needed for transformation, the gimmick becomes a physical thing. If you look closely at the Wizard driver, the 5 can be viewed as the 5 digits on the hand on the driver, but also the 5 elements in which Wizard transforms: flame, water, land, hurricane, and infinity. Next we move on to Kamen Rider Gaim. The way in which the number gimmick is shown in Kamen Rider Gaim is in the design of the lock seeds, whether it's just being opened or resting in the Sengoku driver. If you follow the handle and go around the circular design where the fruits are usually shown, we have our number 6 in our Heisei Riders number gimmick. Which brings us round to the newest Kamen Rider, Drive. And here we are with Drive. Now, unlike previous riders, it kind of goes back on the tradition of 1 device needed for transformation. Drive uses a combination of his belt and the device on his wrist called the shift brace. As for the shift cars and the number gimmick, as you probably just saw, the shift cars have the ability to be twisted to look like a gear lever. That shape is inadvertently the number 7. Now, a little bit about Drive's belt. As is been the theme for this video, there is a returning thing from a previous Kamen Rider series. And, of course, I'm referring to the belt. Like Kivat in Kamen Rider Kiva, the belt is sentient. It's capable of independent thought. So that's another interesting thing to tie it up with a previous series, bring back one of the kind of running dynamics of the show. Now, on to Drive himself. Okay, on to the first fight where Drive appears. Now, the fight itself is a bit reminiscent of Kamen Rider Kiva and Kamen Rider Wizard. One of the main things they're working with is the tire in the center of Drive's body. When he changes shift cars and changes the tire, it also grants him different abilities. His default is type speed, which increases his physical speed. Fairly obvious. The next one is Max Flare, which gives him pyrokinetic abilities. Adds fire damage to all of his attacks. Okay, the next one is Funky Spike, which can rotate while attached to him, and also fire spikes at a distance. Again, a fairly straightforward ability, and as far as I know, there's only one other one, which is Midnight Shadow, which allows Drive to create shadow shurikens and also make clones of himself to aid him in battle. Now, that's all the shift cars I'm currently aware of, because I've only seen one episode. Of course, there's bound to be a lot more. Now, how this works, in a way, it's similar to the first episode in Kamen Rider Wizard, where we see multiple different changes in the one fight to give the rider a tactical edge. But the tires themselves, they're more reminiscent of the weapons in Kamen Rider Kiva, because essentially they're only changing one piece of armor, whereas with Kamen Rider Wizard it was a whole style change, from flame to land to hurricane to water, although he doesn't use water in the first episode, it's just flame, land and hurricane styles. While I do think the final attack was a little bit over the top, overall I think it's a good start to a new series. It comes from a dark place, and straight from the first episode we do get a bunch of questions thrown at us, like what are the Roid Muse, what are they wanting to achieve? But there is one thing that bugs me more than anything, and it's this. During the opening sequence of Drive, where it recounts the events of the 6 months before the start of the series, we see this guy. Now, this makes me think that Kamen Rider Drive was developed in very much the same way the Sengoku drivers were in Kamen Rider Gaim. And what we see here is the prototype for Drive. Now, it's noted that he does use a bike. Why this was changed, we don't know yet. Neither do we know the origin of the belt, which I do hope we do find out in later episodes. And of course the origins of the Roid Muse and what they plan to achieve. I still think it's more of a trial and error thing. And that being said, actually I've just come up with an idea. What if the Roid Muse are failed results from creating the Drive driver? How about that? Overall, I thought episode 1 was a great start to a new series. It fulfilled all the criteria. We got an introduction to the enemies, the Kaijin, we got some backstory on our main character, and we also get a little more development throughout the episode. We also get introduced to all the side characters which provide the comic relief. From Shinosuke's chief, who is crazy about fortune telling. He literally uses it to dictate his day-to-day life. Then you've got the kind of strange, like socially inept character who specializes in information gathering. Basically it's just him and an iPad. Then you've got the quirky one who invents all the gizmos they use. I can't remember the names at the moment, but I'll get round to that. Then you've got the serious guys. Once again, I forget their names. We get Kiriko, who is kind of the foil to Shinosuke being so sloppy. The music I thought was pretty good overall, although the opening song, it's just not quite there yet for me. I mean, some songs like Just Live More that Kamen Rider Gaim had, you know, it had instant impact and I loved the song. But All We Need Is Drive, which they're using for this series, I have a feeling that it will grow on me as time goes on, but as it is right now, it's just not there yet. Overall, Kamen Rider Drive does have potential to be a great series, and overall thought-provoking. I do hope that, of course, we're going to get more shift cars, Drive's getting new forms and abilities, as is with all Kamen Riders. I'm really hoping for a lot of character development, similar to Gaim in a way. Right, this pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the first ever episode of Kamen Rider Drive. If you've stuck around and watched this entire video, thanks very much for listening to me babble on and on about this stuff. Right, again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.